Ambassador Jack Morrison was in a deep sleep when the alarm on his communication device buzzed loudly. He rolled over and looked at the time. 3:12 a.m. Station Harmony Standard Time. His heart skipped a beat. Emergency calls at this hour never brought good news. "Morrison here," he said, his voice still thick with sleep. The face of his assistant, Lily Chen, appeared on the screen. Her expression was grave. "Ambassador, I'm sorry to wake you, but you need to come to the office immediately. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session." Jack sat up, suddenly alert. "What's the emergency?" Lily hesitated. "Sir, Councillor Zixvar of the Arcturian hegemony has formally requested a vote on the continued existence of humanity." The words hit Jack like a physical blow. He stood up and began dressing while keeping the communication channel open. "They want to vote on whether to eliminate us. On what grounds?" The official reason given is persistent destabilizing influence on galactic peace. The vote has been scheduled for 72 hours from now. Jack grabbed his credentials and rushed out of his quarters, navigating through the curved hallways of Station Harmony, the massive space station that housed the Galactic Council. The station was quieter at this hour, with only a few representatives from nocturnal species moving about. In his office, Jack found his team already assembled. Ellen Porter, his diplomatic advisor, Dr. Adam Collins, the xenobiologist, and Captain Steve Russell, Earth's military liaison to the Council. Their faces were grim. "I need to contact Earth immediately," Jack said. Within minutes, a secure channel was established to Earth's Security Council. Defense Secretary Laura Brooks appeared on the large screen. "We've just received the notification, Ambassador," she said. "The President is being briefed as we speak." "How bad is this?" Jack ran a hand through his gray hair. "Bad. The Arcturians have been gathering support for weeks, maybe months, without us noticing. This isn't a spontaneous motion. Can they actually do it? Eliminate an entire species?" Brooks asked. "It's happened before," Ellen Porter said quietly. 3 times in the Council's history. The Zrel, the Ninians, and the Vox, all eliminated after being deemed threats to galactic stability. "But those were warlike species that attacked Council worlds," Jack protested. "And the Arcturians are framing us the same way," Captain Russell added. "They're painting humanity as unpredictable, violent, and dangerous." Jack paced the room. "We need to understand exactly what we're being accused of. Adam, get all the data on the formal complaint. Ellen, I need a list of potential allies on the Council. Steve, assess our security situation if this vote goes the wrong way." The Galactic Constitution requires a 2/3 majority for elimination votes, Ellen said. "That's 85 species out of 127. We need 43 votes to block this." Dr. Collins looked up from his datapad. "The Arcturians are circulating footage from the Proxima Centauri mining accident and the first contact incident with the pre-spaceflight Dravians. They're using our mistakes against us." Jack stopped his pacing. "This isn't just about a few incidents. Humanity has been advancing too quickly for their comfort. The quantum computing breakthrough last month scared them. We're becoming a threat to the established power structure." "So what's our play?" Captain Russell asked. Jack looked out the window at the stars. Earth was too far to see from here, just one small dot in a galaxy of thousands of civilizations. Civilizations that were now voting on whether his species deserved to live. "We fight," Jack said simply. "Not with weapons, but with the truth. We have 72 hours to convince the galaxy that humanity deserves to exist. Ellen, arrange meetings with every ambassador who might listen. Adam, prepare a presentation on human cultural and scientific contributions. Steve, I need security for all our movements. This could get ugly." The team dispersed to their tasks, working with the desperate energy of people whose entire species was on trial. Jack remained at the window for a moment longer, the weight of 7 billion lives pressing down on his shoulders. Somewhere out there, the Arcturians were gathering their allies. The fight for humanity's survival had begun, and the clock was ticking. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous, a perfect circle with seats rising in tiers around a central speaking platform. Representatives of 127 spacefaring civilizations filled the room, their bodies ranging from humanoid to shapes that defied easy description. The air buzzed with translation devices as thousands of languages converged into a single conversation. Jack Morrison and his team entered through the human delegation's door. Many alien eyes turned to watch them, some curious, others hostile. Jack straightened his back and walked with purpose toward the human section, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. "Look at the Meldarian ambassador," Ellen whispered. "She's not making eye contact. She was friendly at the trade conference last month." "Friends become scarce when your species is on trial," Steve replied quietly. The session began with a tone that echoed through the chamber. Councillor Zixvar of the Arcturian hegemony moved to the central platform. The Arcturian was tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. 4 arms emerged from his ornate diplomatic robe as he activated the chamber's display system. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Zixvar began, his voice translated perfectly into the ear devices of all present. "I stand before you today with grave concern for our shared future. The species known as humans has demonstrated patterns of behavior that present an unacceptable risk to galactic stability." The large screens around the chamber lit up with images. The first showed the mining disaster on Proxima Centauri's 4th planet. Human-operated equipment had accidentally triggered a chain reaction in the planet's unstable core, causing massive eruptions. 3 alien settlements had been destroyed. "An unfortunate accident," Zixvar continued, "yet one that occurred after safety warnings were issued and ignored." More images appeared. Human explorers making contact with primitive species on developing worlds. Military encounters where human ships had responded with what the Arcturian called disproportionate force. "These are isolated incidents taken out of context," Jack whispered to his team. "They're painting us as monsters." The Arcturian counselor activated a historical display. Earth's recorded history played out in a series of brutal highlights: wars, genocides, environmental destruction. Jack noticed that every positive human achievement had been carefully removed. "This selective presentation is their strategy," Dr. Collins murmured. "They're only showing the worst of us." Zixvar continued, "The evidence suggests that humans are fundamentally unstable. Their technology advances faster than their wisdom. Their emotions override their logic. Most concerning, they have compressed development that took other species millennia into mere centuries." The chamber filled with murmurs. Jack could see many representatives nodding in agreement. "Therefore," the Arcturian concluded, "I propose a vote on Measure 7293, the controlled elimination of humanity and quarantine of their home system, for the safety of all galactic species." The chamber erupted in a mix of approving calls and shocked objections. The council leader, an ancient member of the jellyfish-like Quan species, raised all 7 of her tentacles for silence. "As is procedure," the leader announced, "we will now enter a review period of 70 hours. Species may present arguments for or against the measure. Ambassador Morrison, as representative of humanity, you may begin your defense in tomorrow's session." Jack stood, his hands slightly shaking. "The human delegation requests access to all evidence being presented against us, as is our right under Article 4 of the Galactic Constitution." The leader nodded. "Granted. This session is adjourned until tomorrow." As the delegates filed out, a young human aide named Danny Wright rushed up to Jack. "Ambassador, I've been monitoring communications. There have been massive resource transfers from Arcturian accounts to representatives from at least 15 voting species." Ellen's eyes widened. "They're buying votes." Jack looked around the chamber at the retreating aliens. Some avoided his gaze, while others stared with clear hostility. "We need allies," Jack said firmly. "Split up. Find anyone who will listen. Ellen, take the trading partners. Adam, talk to the scientific communities. Steve, find the warrior species who might respect strength. I'll handle the Solari. As they separated, Jack added, and remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for what humanity could become. Dr. Adam Collins walked through the narrow corridors of the station's science wing, where many of the Council's research teams worked. He had to duck several times to avoid hitting his head on pipes designed for shorter species. He stopped in front of a laboratory with strange symbols on the door and pressed the visitor button. The door slid open to reveal a large chamber filled with complex equipment. Hanging from the ceiling were several insect-like creatures, their 6 limbs working on different experiments. The largest one dropped down gracefully and approached Adam. Dr. Collins of Earth, the creature said through its translator. I am lead researcher Tease of the Gist Hive. You seek audience with us at a difficult time. Adam nodded respectfully. Thank you for seeing me. As you know, my species faces a vote that could end our existence. The insectoid's compound eyes reflected the light in rainbow patterns. The Arcturians make compelling arguments. Your species advances quickly and often unpredictably. That's exactly why I came to you, Adam said, pulling out a datapad. The Gist are known for scientific curiosity. Look at these human research projects. He showed images of Earth's deep ocean exploration, medical breakthroughs, and space habitats. The Gist moved closer, clearly interested. Your scientists solved the protein folding problem in half the time our models predicted, Tease observed. Because we think differently, Adam explained. Humans approach problems from unusual angles. If we're eliminated, how many discoveries might never happen? How many scientific mysteries might remain unsolved? The insectoid was silent for a long moment. I will discuss this with the hive mind. We value knowledge above politics. Meanwhile, Ellen Porter sat across from 3 squat, orange-skinned aliens in the station's commercial sector. The Boros Confederation controlled key trade routes in 3 sectors. Ambassador Grohl, Ellen said, humanity has established 27 trade agreements with Boros worlds in just 5 years. All have been profitable for both sides. True, the lead Boros replied, his wide mouth barely moving. Human goods sell well. But if the Council votes for elimination, trade ends anyway. Better to support Arcturian position and gain their favor. Ellen leaned forward. What if I told you Earth is preparing to open its colonial markets? 17 new worlds, all seeking trade partners. The Boros exchanged looks. This is not widely known. It's not public yet, but I'm authorized to offer the Boros first access rights, if humanity survives this vote. The aliens huddled together, whispering rapidly. Ellen waited patiently. Across the station, Captain Steve Russell found himself in a dimly lit chamber with walls covered in weapons and battle trophies. A massive alien with thick, leathery skin and prominent tusks stared down at him. The Krell respect strength, the alien growled. Why should we support weak humans? Steve stood his ground. Because the Arcturians fear our strength. They don't want a fair fight. They want to eliminate us before we become equals. The Krell leader circled Steve. Prove human courage. Face me in combat ritual. Without hesitation, Steve removed his uniform jacket. I accept. Jack Morrison, meanwhile, approached the elegant chambers of the Solari, advanced beings of light and energy, housed in special containment suits. Their ambassador, Nyla, had once been his ally in peace negotiations years ago. Jack Morrison, the musical voice came from the glowing suit. Your kind faces extinction now. Perhaps it is the natural order. Is it natural to destroy a species out of fear, Nyla? That's what this is about. We're advancing too quickly for their comfort. The Solari's light pulsed. The Arcturians make valid points about human volatility. And yet you helped us develop our first interstellar engine, Jack countered. You saw something in us then. Has that changed? Before Nyla could answer, Jack's communicator buzzed. It was Danny Wright. Ambassador, I found something, the young aide said excitedly. I've been analyzing council voting patterns. Species with direct contact with humans mostly support us. Those who only know us through Arcturian reports want us gone. Jack's eyes narrowed. So this isn't about what we've done. It's about what they fear we might do. Sir, Danny continued, I've traced massive resource transfers to 17 species, all key swing boats. Jack looked back at Nyla. The Arcturians are rigging this vote. Is that the justice your people believe in? The Solari's light flickered, perhaps in doubt. The game was changing, but time was running out. Jack regrouped with his team in a small, secure room they had set up as their headquarters. Ellen Porter had a small cut on her cheek. Steve Russell looked worse, with bruises forming on his face and arms. Dr. Collins seemed untouched but exhausted. Report, Jack said, pouring water for everyone. The Boros are considering our offer, Ellen said. They like the idea of exclusive trade rights with our new colonies, but they're afraid of Arcturian retaliation. Steve winced as he sat down. The Krell respect a good fight. I didn't win, but I didn't quit. Their leader said that took courage. They're thinking about supporting us. The Gest are intrigued by our scientific potential, Adam added. They don't want to lose our unique perspective on research problems. Danny Wright, who had been analyzing data in the corner, looked up from his screen. It's not enough. By my count, we have maybe 25 species leaning our way. We need 43 to block the vote. Jack frowned. We need to understand why the Arcturians want us gone so badly. There's something more here than just our unpredictable nature. I might have a way, Danny said hesitantly. The Arcturians are holding a private meeting in their quarters in 2 hours. The ventilation system runs through there. It's a tight fit, but someone small cold. Absolutely not, Jack interrupted. Spying on council members is against all protocols, and putting an entire species up for execution isn't. Ellen asked quietly. Silence fell over the room. Finally, Jack said, I'll go. I'm still the ambassador. If I'm caught, I'll face the consequences. No offense, sir, Danny said, but you won't fit in the vent. I will. 2 hours later, Jack, Ellen, and Adam waited nervously in their headquarters while Steve stood guard outside. Danny had crawled into the ventilation system with a small recording device. Jack checked his watch every few minutes. This was a mistake, he muttered. If they catch him. The door slid open, and Danny tumbled in, breathing hard. I got it. I recorded everything. They gathered around as Danny played the recording. The voices of several Arcturians filled the room, speaking in their lilting language, translated by their software. The humans must be eliminated before their next technological leap, one voice said. Their quantum computing breakthrough has already surpassed our best systems. It took us 3 centuries to develop what they created in 30 years, another voice added. If this continues, they will dominate all advanced technology within a generation. Their chaotic creativity is the problem, a third voice said. No species should advance so quickly. It upsets the balance of power we have maintained for millennia. The vote must pass. We have committed significant resources to ensure it. Our future as the technological leaders of the Council depends on humanity's elimination. Jack turned off the recording, his face grim. So that's it. This isn't about protection. It's about competition. They want us gone before we challenge their position. We need to show this to the Council, Ellen said. It won't be enough. Adam cautioned. Many species already fear us. This will just confirm that we're a threat to the established order. Jack was about to respond when the door burst open. 3 Arcturian security officers stood there with weapons drawn. Behind them was Counselor Zixvar himself. Ambassador Morrison, the Arcturian said coldly. Your aid was detected in a restricted area. This is a serious violation of Council protocols. The security officers moved into the room. Steve tried to step between them and the team, but an officer struck him with some kind of energy weapon. He fell to the floor, writhing in pain. Captain Russell, Jack shouted, moving toward him. This incident will be added to the case against humanity, Zixbar announced. And in light of this security breach, the council leader has moved the vote forward. It will take place in 24 hours. As the Arcturians left, Jack helped Steve to his feet. Their situation had just become much worse. They now had half the time they thought they had, and had given their opponents new ammunition against them. "What do we do now?" Danny asked, his voice shaking. Jack looked at his injured team, his mind racing. "We change strategy. If we can't win with politics, we'll win with the truth." News of the vote spread to Earth like wildfire. Screens around the world showed the same images. The Galactic Council Chamber, the Arcturian Counselor, and humanity on trial. People gathered in streets, homes, and public spaces, watching with fear and anger as their fate was discussed by alien beings. In the Oval Office, President Olivia Grant faced her military advisors. The large screen showed Earth's defenses, orbital platforms, the lunar base, the Mars colony, and the small fleet of ships that protected humanity's solar system. "If this vote passes, can we defend ourselves?" President Grant asked. General Frank Harris shook his head. "Not against the full council. We could hold them off for a while, but not indefinitely. Our technology is still behind most of theirs." "Then we hit them first," said Admiral Peter Clark. "Target the Arcturians before they target us. Show them humanity won't go quietly." The president's face hardened. "That would just prove their point about us being violent and dangerous. We need another way." Her assistant entered the room. "Madam President, Ambassador Morrison is on the secure channel from Station Harmony." Jack's tired face appeared on the main screen. He quickly explained what they had discovered about the Arcturians' true motives and the accelerated timeline for the vote. "So they want us gone because we're learning too quickly?" President Grant asked. "Exactly," Jack confirmed. "Our recent breakthroughs in quantum computing frightened them. They've been the technological leaders for centuries, and now we're catching up in decades. What's your recommendation, Ambassador?" Jack hesitated. "My team is divided. Captain Russell and Dr. Collins have identified weaknesses in several hostile species. They believe we should prepare to strike if the vote goes against us." General Harris nodded in approval, but the president frowned. "Ellen Porter has a different approach," Jack continued. "She suggests radical transparency, showing all of humanity to the council, good and bad, and offering voluntary limitations on our expansion and technological development." "Appeasement," Admiral Clark muttered. "Survival," Jack countered. "If we respond with threats and force, we prove the Arcturians right. We need to show the council a different path." Back on Station Harmony, the debate continued among Jack's team. Their small headquarters had become a war room, with data displays showing council members and their likely votes. "We should send the military intel we've gathered to Earth," Steve insisted, still nursing his injury from the Arcturian weapon. "If the vote goes against us, we need to be ready to fight." "That's exactly the response they expect," Ellen argued. "Violence and resistance. It plays into their narrative about us. So we just surrender?" Steve shot back. Dr. Collins, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "I've been analyzing biological data on council species. Many have vulnerabilities we could exploit. The Arcturians, for instance, are highly sensitive to certain sound frequencies." "You're talking about weapons," Ellen said, appalled. "I'm talking about survival," Adam replied calmly. "Just information Earth should have, just in case." Jack watched his team argue, feeling the weight of 7 billion lives on his shoulders. Each had valid points. Humanity had a right to defend itself. But showing the galaxy that humans defaulted to violence would only confirm the worst fears about them. Danny Wright had been monitoring council communications. "Ambassador," he interrupted, "more species are shifting toward supporting the elimination vote. The Arcturians are spreading rumors about our infiltration attempt, saying we were planting explosives." "That's a lie," Steve exclaimed. It doesn't matter, Jack said quietly. Perception is everything right now. He stood up, decision made. Send the defensive information to Earth, but encrypted and only to be used as a last resort. He turned to Ellen. Prepare the transparency presentation. We're going to show the Council all of humanity. Our art, our music, our kindness, our growth, along with our mistakes. And the Arcturian plot? Adam asked. Jack's expression was resolute. We expose that too. We show everything, and we trust in the wisdom of the Council to see the truth. Ellen looked relieved, while Steve and Adam exchanged concerned glances. Jack knew he was gambling humanity's future on a risky strategy, but sometimes the only way to win was to change the game entirely. The Galactic Council chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from all 127 species sat in tense silence as Ambassador Jack Morrison walked alone to the central platform. He carried no weapons, no data pads, just a small device in his hand. His team watched nervously from the human section. Honored representatives, Jack began, his voice steadied despite his racing heart. I stand before you not just as Earth's ambassador, but as a human being, one of 7 billion whose fate you will decide today. The chamber remained silent, all eyes fixed on the solitary human. The Arcturians have shown you our violence, our mistakes, our potential for destruction. I will not deny these things exist within us. We have fought wars. We have damaged our own planet. We have, at times, let fear and hatred guide our actions. Councillor Zixvar leaned forward, a satisfied look on his blue face. The Arcturian clearly thought Jack was admitting defeat. But that is not all we are, Jack continued. The Arcturians offered you a selective view of humanity. I am here to show you the complete picture. He activated the device in his hand. The chamber's display screens lit up with images from Earth. Children playing in parks, scientists working in laboratories, artists creating music and paintings, doctors saving lives, farmers tending fields. This is also humanity, Jack said. We create, we heal, we nurture, we explore. He pressed another button, and the screens changed to show humanity's growth, the end of wars, environmental restoration projects, peaceful space exploration. Yes, we have made terrible mistakes, but we learn from them. We grow, we change, and we do it faster than many species precisely because of our diverse and sometimes chaotic nature. Jack paused, looking around the chamber. Some representatives seemed moved. Others remained skeptical. I brought something else today, Jack continued. Something unprecedented in Council history. If you are willing, I invite you to experience humanity directly. Assistants began distributing small neural interface devices to each representative. These interfaces will allow you to experience human memories, emotions, and creativity firsthand. All volunteer experiences, freely given by humans from all walks of life. You need not fear. There is no manipulation, only truth. One by one, curious representatives placed the devices on their foreheads or equivalent sensory organs. The chamber grew quiet as alien beings experienced human life directly for the first time. They felt a mother's love for her child, a climber's triumph at reaching a mountain peak, an old couple's hands clasped after 50 years together, a scientist's wonder at a new discovery, a child's first steps, a painter's joy in creation. They also felt humanity's pain, grief at losing loved ones, shame after making mistakes, fear of the unknown. The full range of human experience flowed through the council chamber. When the representatives removed their devices, many seemed shaken. Some of the more emotional species were weeping in their way. This is who we are, Jack said softly. Imperfect, growing, learning, feeling beings. We don't ask you to ignore our faults. We only ask that you see all of us before you decide if we deserve to exist. Councillor Zixvar stood abruptly. This is emotional manipulation. The Arcturian protested. The human is trying to cloud your judgment with feelings rather than facts. Is that so, counselor? Jack asked calmly. He pressed one more button on his device. The screens changed to show the recording Danny had made. Arcturian leaders discussing their real motives for wanting humanity eliminated. The real facts are these, Jack said, his voice growing stronger. This vote was never about galactic safety. It was about preventing competition, about eliminating a species that learns too quickly for the comfort of the established powers. The chamber erupted into chaos. Species representatives turned to one another, arguing loudly. The Arcturian delegation was on their feet, shouting denials. The council leader raised all 7 tentacles, calling desperately for order. Jack stepped back from the platform. He had done all he could. Now humanity's fate rested in alien hands. As he returned to his team, he saw something he hadn't expected: respect in the eyes of many representatives. Whether it would be enough to save his species, he didn't know. But he had shown the galaxy who humans truly were, all of them, the good and the bad. The council leader finally restored order after nearly an hour of heated debate. Species representatives returned to their seats, though the tension in the chamber remained thick enough to cut with a knife. "We will now proceed with the vote," the leader announced, her jellyfish-like form glowing with a soft blue light. "Each species will cast 1 vote. A 2/3 majority is required for Measure 7293 to pass." Jack and his team sat rigidly in the human section. Ellen reached over and squeezed Jack's hand. Steve nodded grimly. Adam stared straight ahead, his face unreadable. Danny looked like he might be sick. "The vote begins with the founding members," the leader continued. The Arcturian counselor Zixpar stood proudly. The Arcturian hegemony votes for elimination. One by one, the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy cast their votes. Most followed the Arcturian lead. The Solari collective votes against elimination, Nyla announced when her turn came. Jack felt a small surge of hope. His former ally had sided with humanity after all. As the voting continued, a pattern emerged. Most of the ancient, established powers voted for elimination. Many of the younger spacefaring races voted against it. The trading species were divided, some swayed by Arcturian bribes, others by Ellen's promises of new markets. The Boros Confederation votes against elimination, their representative declared. Ellen smiled slightly. The Krell Empire votes against elimination, the massive warrior announced. Humans fight with honor. Steve nodded in appreciation. The Gist High votes against elimination, the insectoid researcher stated. The galaxy would lose unique scientific perspectives. Adam let out a breath he'd been holding. The numbers were close. Danny kept a running tally on his data pad, his fingers trembling slightly. As each species voted, the tension in the chamber grew. Humanity's existence hung by a thread. With 120 votes cast, the council leader announced, the count stands at 82 for elimination, 38 against. The measure requires 85 votes to pass. 7 species remain to vote. Jack did the math quickly. If all 7 remaining species voted for elimination, humanity would be doomed with exactly 89 votes. If 3 or more voted against, humanity would survive. The Eldari Communion votes against elimination. A murmur ran through the chamber. The Eldari were among the most ancient and respected species in the galaxy, and they rarely took sides in council votes. Their representative, a tall, ethereal being with translucent skin, spoke in a musical voice. "We have watched many species rise and fall. Humanity's journey has barely begun. To end it now would be to deny the galaxy a unique voice. We will not participate in such an act." 2 more species voted for elimination. 2 voted against. The tally now stood at 84 for elimination, 41 against. 1 species remained, the mysterious quantum collective, beings of pure energy who existed in multiple states simultaneously. Their representative, a swirling vortex of light contained in a special field, moved to the center of the chamber. The quantum collective observes all probability paths, the being said, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. In most futures where humanity survives, the galaxy becomes more diverse, more creative, more adaptive. In most futures where humanity is eliminated, stagnation follows. Progress slows. Innovation diminishes. The chamber was completely silent. Humanity is chaotic, yes. Unpredictable, certainly. But they bring change, and change is necessary for growth. The quantum collective votes against elimination. The final tally: 84 for elimination, 42 against. Just one vote short of the two-thirds majority needed. The measure fails, the council leader declared. Humanity will not be eliminated. The human section erupted in cheers. Ellen hugged Jack, tears streaming down her face. Steve pounded Adam on the back. Danny collapsed in his seat, overcome with relief. But the celebration was short-lived. The Arcturian delegation rose as one and marched toward the exit. "This is not over," Zixbar said coldly as he passed the human section. "You have made a powerful enemy today." Jack watched them go, knowing the Arcturian was right. Humanity had survived the vote, but by the narrowest margin in Council history. They had been just one vote away from extinction. And now they had the most powerful species in the galaxy as their sworn enemy. 2 weeks after the vote, Jack Morrison stood at the window of his small house in Colorado, looking up at the stars. The mountains rose dark against the night sky, a constant reminder of Earth's silent strength. He had returned home a cautious hero, his face splashed across news outlets worldwide as the man who saved humanity. His comm device buzzed on the table. Ellen Porter's face appeared on the screen when he answered. "The Arcturians have officially withdrawn from the Jupiter mining project," she said without greeting. "That's the 5th joint venture they've abandoned." "We expected that," Jack replied. "How are the replacement negotiations going?" "The Boros are eager to step in. They're offering favorable terms." The door chimed, and Jack opened it to find Steve Russell and Adam Collins standing there. Since returning to Earth, the team had remained close, bound by their shared experience of almost losing everything. "The President's transport just landed," Steve said. "She'll be here in 10 minutes." Jack nodded and ended his call with Ellen. The three men moved to the living room, where a simple meeting space had been arranged. Within minutes, President Olivia Grant arrived with a small security detail. "Ambassador," she greeted Jack warmly. "Or should I say, Secretary Morrison. The Senate confirmed your appointment this morning." Jack looked surprised. "Secretary." "Of the new Department of Galactic Relations," President Grant explained. "We need someone who understands the complex politics out there. Someone who's proven they can protect humanity's interests." "I'm honored," Jack said, "but I'm not sure I'm the right person. I nearly got us all killed." "You saved us all," Steve corrected him. The president sat down, her expression serious. "We've learned valuable lessons from this experience. We can't afford to be naive about our place in the galaxy anymore." "The Arcturians won't forget what happened," Adam warned. "They'll try again, perhaps in more subtle ways." "That's why we're implementing the measures you recommended," President Grant said. "Dr. Collins, your interspecies cultural exchange program has been approved. Captain Russell, you'll head the new First Contact Protocol Division, and Ellen Porter will be our chief negotiator for the voluntary limitation treaties." Jack looked impressed. "You're moving quickly." "We have to," the president replied. "The vote may have gone our way, but it was too close. We need to prove to the galaxy that humanity can be a responsible member of the galactic community." After the meeting, Jack walked his friends to their vehicles. The night was clear and cool, typical for Colorado in autumn. Steve paused before getting into his car. "Do you think it will work?" he asked. "All these new departments and treaties." "It has to," Jack replied. "We got a second chance. We need to use it wisely." Later that night, alone again, Jack returned to his window and the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, the Arcturians were plotting. Other species were watching, and humanity's future remained uncertain. Yet for the first time since returning to Earth, he felt hopeful. His comm device buzzed again. This time it was Danny Wright, who had stayed on Station Harmony as part of the expanded Earth delegation. Secretary Morrison. Danny greeted him with a grin. "You'll never believe what I'm seeing here. The Gist are playing human music in their laboratories. The Krell has started learning Earth languages. And I just saw a Boros merchant wearing a baseball cap." Jack laughed. "Already?" "That's not all," Danny continued, his voice excited. "3 species have requested the neural interface technology. They want to share more human experiences. And the Quantum Collective has invited human scientists to collaborate on a new space-time project." As Danny continued his report, Jack realized something unexpected was happening. Humanity hadn't just survived the vote. They had sparked something new in the galaxy. Their creativity, their emotions, their unique perspective was spreading among the stars, influencing ancient species in ways no one could have predicted. The Arcturians had been right to fear human potential, but for the wrong reasons. Humanity wouldn't conquer the galaxy with weapons or technology. They would change it with ideas, with art, with their boundless capacity for growth and adaptation. Jack smiled at the stars. The emergency vote had been just the beginning of humanity's true journey into the galactic community.